Hello everybody, I am pleased today to have at the You've Got Maid office two wonderful ladies. Carol Smith, she's the Executive Director at Crossroads Jobs, and Yanci Pitillo, also from Crossroads Jobs, and she is the job counselor, and she is the assistant with Carol on finding jobs. Thank you very much for being here. Tell me a little bit, Carol, and after probably Yanci too, how did you get to be part of Crossroads Jobs? Tell us a little bit about your experience in the past, a little bit bio about you and who you are.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting us. We're very happy to be here and happy to be in your office. It's fun to see businesses in person rather than just over the phone. So, as far as how we got started, we modeled Crossroads Jobs on an organization that I worked for a number of years ago called Jubilee Jobs, which is located in Washington, D.C. And I have helped them to set up job placement offices in D.C., in two spots of D.C., Northwest and Southeast, and then also in Newark, New Jersey. And then in 2012, we set up Crossroads Jobs here in Loudoun County. So we use their model, which was designed by a woman who owned a number of employment agencies. So she took her expertise and transferred it to we're an employment agency minus the fees. So we do not charge the applicant and we don't charge the employer. So that's sort of the beauty of the business, but it's very structured. So that's really how I got into it. I moved to Loudoun County in 1995, and over the years I had a bunch of kids and kept thinking, could Loudoun County use an employment service like this? And so in 2011, I took the plunge, started doing research, and then in 2012 opened Crossroads Jobs. So we've been going ever since, and wow, I should have figured out exactly how many people we've placed, but this year alone we have placed over 40 people in permanent jobs.
Oh, thank you very much. And I was actually one business of 40 employees. I reached out to Carol 2 months ago when I needed an office assistant here, and everything went smoothly. In 2 weeks, I had to interview Samantha. I fell in love with her. She was great, and she's been with me for 2 months. And thank you again. Thank you. All the process was very quick. Thank you for helping the businesses to find employees. Yanci, what about you? How did you get involved with?
For many years, I volunteered due to personal family situation, and I met Carol at Guilford Elementary here in Loudoun County, and I translated for her that day that she was doing an event at Guilford, and then she started calling me and reaching out. And that's how I got started.
We needed a bilingual job counselor because one of the great things about our program is we offer it in English and in Spanish. So Yanci was our first bilingual job counselor. I had to hunt her down because she wasn't sure about she had the most amazing transferable skills, but she hadn't actually worked as a job counselor. But that's not always what I look for. I look for people who have heart, and also highly intelligent people, which she is, and also individuals who don't mind calling companies, so doing cold calling. We do that all the time because we want to establish relationships with the companies that we work with, so that when we interview an applicant, we can make sure we're sending them to the right type of position. You know, that they're going to benefit. It's going to benefit them and the company too. So Yanci was a gold mine find, and she's been with it since 2017.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
When I started, I was like really nervous. How do I do this? What do I need to do? And but I loved it. I love helping people, and this gave me that opportunity to just
Thank you for everything we do. Tell us a little bit about. We did talk before about like example. You can't take everybody, but you will help them who they need to reach out. Example, if one of the audience right now, they are looking for a job and they are in the IT industry. So what can you have, what industry usually you can help, and what industry usually you can help them to send them to a different organization.
Yeah. Did you want me to start? Yeah.
The program is structured, yeah.
Yeah. So the program, it's structured, and anyone can come to us. Really the only criteria is that you're eager and ready to work. So whatever barriers a person might be experiencing, that's what we're going to talk about, and how are we going to help that person get around those barriers or address them in whatever way is best. So you can be any skill level, and that being said, individuals who have, like you mentioned, IT, we're not a recruiter. We don't have that kind of expertise. Now, we will help as best we can. We have board members, we have businesses that we work with who can help us, with the person's resume, that kind of thing. But the structure of the program is an applicant makes an appointment with us. We send them information about Crossroads Jobs so they can read over it before they come. They come into our office. We do require in person because we want to really get to know the person. They fill out a pretty comprehensive application, and that gives us information that, quite frankly, employers are not allowed to ask, but it allows us to help the person. So we don't necessarily share all of the information, but then that sets the stage for the applicant to interview with one of our 5 job counselors. We go over the application carefully, ask questions, fill in any blanks, and so by the end of that interview, the job counselor, which Yanci is one of them, and the applicant have a plan to move forward. So do they need help interviewing? Do they need a new resume? Do they need mock interviews? Maybe we have volunteers who will mentor people if need be, financial help, that kind of thing. And so then the job counselor and the applicant move forward on the job search. And so that's when the job counselor starts to reach out to companies and find job openings. We might have a job opening already in our database, which is what happened in your case. You called us, we had the right person. It was a great match quickly. So that's what we're trying to do. And then post-placement, so when we place someone in a job, then we actually track them. We reach out to them for a year afterwards. And that's really all about job retention. Any bumps in the road, they can talk to their job counselor. So we say our applicants are applicants for life. They can come back to us, they can talk to us, we're their job counselors. So that's the way the program works. So it's very individualized because each person in the world is different.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Yanci, would you like to add something?
So we do get to know the applicant, to direct them, to help them, and we do the post-placement support. So if they need anything afterwards, like even if they're happy with their job, maybe some other forms or any other information that they need, we're always there for them.
And for the employer too.
For the employer
so
as well.
I don't have any anticipation of this, but if there were any issues, you could always call Yanci and say, hey, there's just this one little thing, and that way we're kind of all on the same page and hopefully can fix something if it's just a small, so that's one of the.
Yeah, we do want the employers to continue to support us and continue to reach out to us.
Right.
And this is a huge help on doing that. So we talk about the side of the applicant. Now, what about the side of the businesses who how the process will work? They just contact you, or they just email you, tell you, hey, I'm hiring right now. I have this job description. I want to put it on the website, or how? Because with me, it took really a phone call. And by luck, I think I found Sam. Sam was already part of your database. So how on the side of the businesses, for the business owner who is hearing us right now and they need to hire employees and they have difficulty? Because I gotta tell you, from my personal experience, I found with you, it's better for me from doing Indeed. Because I trust the organization. I trust the organization. You are in Loudoun County, and I trust you. I know that you vet them the first step. So it was kind of easy for me to bring them in because I know they did pass by you, and I'm bringing, and I will have, I feel like I'm more.
With me as a job counselor, I'm always on the lookout for job openings, for opportunities. So wherever I go, it's like if there's a sign or if I stop by, I ask. And we also call companies if we have an applicant that we don't have a job opening already in our database. We call companies around to find more job openings.
We have over 1,000 employers in our database. Now, we don't talk to them every day, of course, we can't, but we do try to establish a relationship. And honestly, we operate differently than other employment services in that the job counselor is kind of a firewall between the employer and the applicant.
Yeah.
So we don't
bridge.
And then becomes a bridge for sure. That's a good way of putting it. But what I mean by that is we don't just put a bunch of job listings up on a wall and our applicants come in and look at them and then apply for 10 different positions. What we do is when we reach out to an employer, the more detailed the job description, the better for us.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you need somebody who can work a night shift, or who has a car, or whatever the requirements are, we know that applicant, and we can look at that job description and we can say, yes, this person fits everything the employer's looking for. Then we reach out to you, say, all right, what is your protocol? Do we have them do the application? Do we set up an interview? What is it? So we're very mindful and respectful of the employer's protocol of the job, how they want the hiring process, and then we follow that protocol, and then it's up to the employer whether they hire the person, because even if somebody fits that job description, they might not fit the culture of the workplace, or there might be one little thing that they hadn't thought about. So it's entirely up to the business person whether they hire the person or not. And then beyond that, when you hire the person, they're your employee, it's their job. We don't take a fee, or we don't take a percentage of their salary. So we try to, like Yanci said, build that bridge, but you're not inundated with applicants that don't fit the job description. Yeah. So that's the benefit, I think. And if we don't have the right person, we're not going to just refer anyone.
Yeah.
So we don't want to waste your time.
Yeah, we try to save employers as much time as possible and send them ready applicants.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have some businesses at some point difficult on hiring, that you sent them more of 2-3 people and they still not satisfied to hire them, or
Never
pretty
had
much
that. Every time I've sent someone, they're hired.
they're hired?
And sometimes it
Because
doesn't
see,
work.
that's
Which is
the
a good
thing,
track record.
because the business is trusting you, and in the meantime, you are really sending the right fit to the position to help the business to speed up on their hiring.
Yeah, and we do have instances where someone is not hired for just for maybe a small reason. I mean, we had one instance where and we actually have a job counselor who is a retired special education teacher, so she works with our population who have a disability.
Yeah.
And she had an applicant who had a disability that it made it an unsafe environment. So it wasn't that they were being discriminatory or, oh, we don't want to hire somebody. It was not that at all. It was 100% a safety issue. And anyway, we found her another job, and she's very happy. So there are instances where an employer might interview one of our applicants, and there's someone else that comes to interview, and that person just has a more flexible schedule or whatever the case may be. So, but the point is, we will keep working with the applicant if they're
you advise them
right.
probably, because maybe sometimes somebody apply and you have another position open and you see their resume and you say, oh, that would be good fit for this position, and you might be Yanci, talk to them about it. So that's great. What about events? I know during the year probably it's more job fair. Is that where your events mostly? How many? How many
resource fairs.
Okay.
So we try to participate in as many job fairs and resource fairs as possible, and then
School events.
and school events, right, with Loudoun County Public Schools. So And then we do reach out to, we have memorandums of understanding with other nonprofits so that we refer people back and forth. And that's really important for comprehensive, assistance for people. So, yeah.
So where, now we know that you help and you help the both side and everything kind of like for free. Where you guys getting your fundraising? Is that more grants? Is that more sponsorship? Is it how are you getting money to? Because everything costs,
Right. That is the biggest challenge.
And the biggest need.
Yeah. And it's interesting because to me, a jobs program is really important. And of course, I've heard people say, oh, but there are all these for hire signs. Why, unemployment's so low. But on the other side, we have businesses that can't find the right people for the jobs. And, if anyone has ever tried looking for a job, it's not easy. It's not easy. And especially if your confidence is low, or maybe you made a mistake in the past and you might have something on your record, or, you've been raising children and you just don't know where to be. There are many barriers to employment, and in Loudoun County, housing, transportation, there are a lot of things that really get in the way of people finding the right job. But to me, a job is so, it's who we are as humans. We work. We've worked since the beginning of time. And so we find, dignity in that, we find value, and of course sustenance. It's how we pay for the things we need. And so when someone has a job, then the hope is that they're going to be able to support themselves and feel good about that, and take care of themselves, their family. But back to your question about, we do get grants. We have been the recipient of a community development block grant for a number of years, a county grant, 100 Women Strong, Cloudbreak Foundation. There are many organizations, and then we have quite a number of individual donors. We're really trying to build that pool up. So anyone out there, who supports work, we're trying to build that base of support, because it's not as fickle as the grant writing. As I'm sure you know, it's always pins and needles when you submit a grant and wait to hear about it. So every year it's a struggle, making sure we can cover our expenses and pay our great job counselors, and they give, in return, what they give to our applicants is their time and their expertise and support. And so
Private donors.
private donors.
Yes,
Yeah.
individual and corporate.
Yes,
So,
of course.
because corporate is important
Yes.
too. Talk to us about a little bit about volunteers. Do you need sometimes volunteers, and what do you normally look for?
We have our program in English and Spanish right now, so we are in need of bilingual volunteers. And sometimes we get applicants that they don't speak neither English or Spanish, so any other language would be very beneficial if we would get volunteers that do speak other languages to help us reach, help more people.
Yeah. So one thing I didn't mention about the structure of our program, so the applicant comes in, they fill out the application, they interview with the job counselor for an hour and a half. They are also required to attend 3 workshops that week, and we offer the workshops every other week. So somebody has a doctor's appointment or something. We all know that doctor's appointments take 5 months to get right now. So we honor that, but they do have to attend these 3 workshops. The workshops are interviewing skills, conflict resolution, and one called Eyes on the Prize, which is about setting SMART goals. And we feel it's about 3 hours total, and it gives people good tools and relevant information about the job search and about job retention, how to keep a job, so those kinds of things. So that is also, as far as volunteers, we are always looking for volunteers to teach those workshops.
Oh.
Because, and they're 1 hour each, so
Yeah.
we have a volunteer who always teaches the interviewing skills, and another that might want to teach the conflict resolution. And the more volunteers we have doing that in Spanish and in English, it means the job counselors are finding jobs for people. So we are the backup to teach those workshops, but it's really fun. It's, you know, if you like people and you like to, you know, have interactions with people, it's very, we try to keep the workshops interactive and lots of fun stories come up. And so that's a great way to volunteer. Also, because we collect very personal information about our applicants, we're pretty proprietary about that. We don't share that. So we're very careful about volunteers, you know, in our database. That's not to say we don't have volunteers who help us with that. We do, but we're very careful about screening. But there also is mentoring, mock interviews. You know, we have a couple of bank volunteers who are bankers who have met with applicants about their credit history, and you know, we have women who've been divorced and they don't, you know, their credit is bad and they need help. Like, how do I reestablish my credit, or how do I, you know, set up another bank account that's just in my name? Yeah. So those are all things that people can volunteer for. They're fairly specific, but we provide all the materials and anything that they need. So, for example, the workshops, we have the workshop materials, and we always tell the volunteers, you know, tell your own stories, appropriate stories, you know, but, you know, give it your own flavor, but this is what you can cover. So they don't have to come up with that themselves. They don't have to, you know.
We provide the information, and
Right.
we have it in English and Spanish.
Yeah.
So there is requirement to be volunteer.
We do a
kinda-
background check.
You do background
We do
check.
background checks, yeah. Yeah, just because they're with our
Yeah,
people,
of
and
course.
we want to make sure
Of course.
they also sign an, you know, a non-disclosure, yeah. So anything that happens in that room, any stories, anything like that, it stays there. So, because we assure the applicants that that's how we operate, so. So it is very structured, but there's creativity within that, you know, within that structure, so, yeah.
So Carol, I know that you've been from 2003 working on this, and you start, and you know, thank you for everything you do. I mean, this is kind of like not only helping businesses and helping individuals to find jobs too. What is something you're planning to accomplish for the next 2-3 years from now? What is your goal? Any goal, Carol, you have?
I think
For Crossroads jobs.
I mean, back to the fundraising question, our goal is right now, about 60% of our budget is from grants. So that's very time consuming, writing those, you know, getting all, we're hoping to flip that so that at least 60% comes from our neighbors, you know, from individuals and companies within Loudoun County who see the value in what we do. And we put out a newsletter that has all kinds of updates. We're happy to give people reports. So it's not that we don't mean to be accountable, yeah, and share what our accomplishments are, but it is a much heavier lift. The grant writing is a very heavy lift, and quite honestly, because Loudoun County is considered a very, very wealthy county, it's not super easy to find foundations that contribute to, you know, so a lot of the national organizations, you know, they kind of look at Loudoun County and think, well, why can't they take care of themselves? So we'll give to an organization in DC or something, you know, a place in need, but we do have need here, you know, it's.
Yeah, and we did talk before about the housing. It is a huge impact.
Yeah.
I know that from my business, I have employees come from Manassas and come from Woodbridge because they can't afford to live.
Right.
And unfortunately, that also can impact businesses and impact also applicants
Exactly.
to find a job.
Yeah.
Because we know Loudoun is awesome and great businesses here and
Right.
everything, but also the housing, it is important, you know, what we talked about before. So.
Yeah. No, that's a huge problem. I mean, we have applicants. I was mentioning to you earlier. I have an applicant who, hardworking guy. We found him a job. He's in his 60s, and he has to rent a room.
Yeah.
And so he's working. He's paying for his rent, but he can't afford to even have like a little tiny apartment for himself. So that's kind of heartbreaking in a place like Latin. So.
Well, we hope the housing issue will be soon resolved to help businesses finding applicants and applicants at the same time find good jobs. And because when you work, you gotta love what you do, and you can't take anything. Like you gotta choose what you're gonna love to do, so you can succeed and do a good job of what you do. That's the most important.
Right.
I want to thank you both for being here today. This is a lot of great information. I would share again. Would you mind to share with us how people can contact you?
Take it away. I've been talking a lot.
Well, they can call us directly. Our number is 703-771-4112. And if they would like someone that speaks Spanish, it's 571-313-1813. Or they can go to our website, which is crossroadsjobs.org. Or email us at findajob@crossroadsjobs.org. It's a long one, but
I
once you
will
get
put it on the post.
So and if you want to hear some very humorous Spanish, call the first number, the 703 number, because then one of us will answer and we'll stumble along and transfer it to Yanci or to Catherine, who is our other Spanish-speaking job counselor. So we do our best, but those are the options, and we will call you back. We're very good about calling people back within a day at the most, and so and then we'll send the materials and get started. So,
and you are open only weekdays, Monday to Friday.
Monday through Friday, correct.
And right now our schedule is like part-time basis, and that's where we need like more funding, more private donors to increase our hours. Correct.
Yeah, we could be working. We could be working more hours for sure, but we have to make sure the budget is the budget, and Yanci is our bookkeeper, so she knows. She knows.
Well, thank you, Yanci, for everything you do. Carol, it was my honor to have you here
Well,
today.
we really appreciate
and
it.
you did help me, and that's why I wanted to bring you here and
Thank
talk
you.
about if someone doesn't know about Crossroads Jobs, that you need to reach out to them, and they will be able to help you if you are hiring.
We will do our best. That's right. Our motto: we get to know the person, not just the resume. So that's what we try to
So
do.
that is all about trust.
Yes.
It will come about trust.
We are very proud of our applicants that we have placed, and it's good to hear from them 6 months, a year, or 2 years later that they're still happy.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Very rewarding.
That's
Yes.
good thing. Thank you very much for the both of you.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.